I had just retired when my daughter-in-law called. "I'm going to leave my 3 kids with you. After all, you don't do anything anymore, so you can watch them while I travel." I smiled and ended the call. I decided to teach her a lesson she would never forget. When she returned from her trip, the children hid behind me. The silence that followed was deafening. In that moment, as the phone still trembled in my hand, I made the most important decision of my 67 years. I decided to teach her a lesson she would never forget. But let me tell you from the beginning. Because what happened when she returned from her trip, when the children hid behind me, the silence that followed was deafening. That was just the end of a story that began much earlier. My name is Helen Miller. 35 years of teaching at Lincoln Elementary in Columbus, Ohio, had prepared me to deal with difficult children, complicated parents, and impossible situations. But nothing, absolutely nothing, had prepared me for Brooke. That afternoon, I was sitting in my living room, enjoying my second day of retirement. Do you know what it's like to work since you were 22 years old and finally, at 67, have time for yourself? I had waited for this moment my entire life. My coffee table was covered in brochures. Yellowstone, the Grand Canyon, a road trip down the Pacific Coast Highway. Places I had always dreamed of seeing but never could because first, it was raising Michael alone after his father died in that pileup on the interstate, and then it was years of sacrifice to give him an education. The phone rang at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I saw Brooke's name on the screen and hesitated to answer. Whenever she called, it was to ask for something. "Helen," she began without even a hello. She never called me mother-in-law, much less mom. "I have an incredible opportunity in Miami. It's a multi-level marketing conference that's going to change our lives." Multi-level marketing. Another one of her pyramid schemes where she always lost money. "The kids can't miss 2 weeks of school," she continued, "so I'll leave them with you." "I'm sorry?" My voice came out as a whisper. "Oh, don't play deaf. I said I'm going to leave Aiden, Chloe, and Leo with you. After all, you don't do anything anymore. You can watch them while I travel. It's perfect. Now that you're not working, you have all the time in the world." I don't do anything anymore? I felt my blood boil. This woman, who had never worked an honest day in her life, who lived off my son like a parasite, was telling me that I did nothing. "Brooke, I have plans." "Plans?" She laughed with that sharp laugh I detested. What plans can a retired old woman have? Knitting? Watching soap operas? "Please, Helen, don't be ridiculous. I'll drop them off tomorrow at 7 in the morning. And don't give them junk food like last time." The last time? The last time I saw my grandchildren was 6 months ago, at Christmas, and only for 2 hours because, according to her, they had to go to their other grandparents' house, the important ones, the ones with money. "I'm not going to watch them for you, Brooke." "What do you mean, you're not? You're their grandmother. It's your obligation." Besides, Michael agrees. Ali, my son didn't even know about this. I was sure of it. He worked 14 hours a day at the manufacturing plant to support this woman's whims. "If you ever want to see your grandchildren again, you'd better cooperate," she threatened, "because I decide if they have a grandmother or not." And that's when something inside me broke. Or rather, something inside me woke up. If you knew me, you'd know that Mrs. Miller never stayed silent in the face of injustice. And this woman had just declared war. "All right, Brooke," I said with the sweetest voice I could feign. "Bring them over tomorrow. That's more like it. And don't spoil them. You know they're difficult children, but that's because you never knew how to raise Michael properly. If he had had a decent mother." I ended the call before she could finish the sentence. I sat there, looking at the framed retirement certificate on the wall. 35 years shaping generations, and my own daughter-in-law treated me like a free servant. But if I learned anything in all these years, it's that the best lessons aren't taught with words. I picked up my phone and dialed a number I hadn't used in years. "Carol?" "Yes, it's Helen. I need your help. Do you remember what you told me about the hidden recorders you used in your divorce?" "Uh-huh. Perfect. And one more thing. Is your sister still working at Child Protective Services?" "Excellent." I hung up and poured myself a chamomile tea. Tomorrow, the real education would begin, but it wouldn't be for the children. Brooke was about to learn the most important lesson of her life. Never ever underestimate a retired teacher with free time and a desire for justice, If you're enjoying this story and want to keep discovering how a determined grandmother can change the destiny of an entire family, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any detail of what's to come. Because believe me, this is just the beginning. That night, I couldn't sleep. As I tossed and turned in bed, the memories of 35 years hit me like waves against the rocks. How did we get here? How did I allow my own family to treat me like an old piece of furniture, only useful when they needed it? It all started when Michael was just 3 years old. His father, my Richard, left one rainy October morning heading out on a business trip. The car was part of a 50-vehicle pileup in a blizzard on I-80. 23 people died. Richard was passenger number 24, but he survived for 3 days in the hospital. 3 days in which I spent our savings of 5 years trying to save him. "Take care of our son," were his last words. "Make him a good man." And boy, did I try. I was left with $100 in the bank account, a 3-year-old boy, and a teaching degree from the state university. The first few years were a hell I wouldn't wish on anyone. I worked double shifts, morning at the public elementary school, afternoons tutoring. Michael ate before I did. If there was money for a pair of shoes, they were for him. If there was enough left for a toy on his birthday, I pretended I wasn't hungry that night. My mother, God rest her soul, would tell me, "Helen, you're going to kill yourself working like this. Find another husband, someone who can provide for you." But I would look at my Michael, with those brown eyes just like his father's, and I knew no stepfather would ever love him like I did. No strange man was going to give him the love I could. So I kept going, alone. The sacrifices were endless. I remember one Christmas when Michael was 8. I had saved for 6 months to buy him the bicycle he wanted so badly. On the 24th, while he was sleeping, I realized I didn't have money for Christmas dinner. I sold my only piece of jewelry that wasn't my wedding ring, a locket from my grandmother, for $50 so I could make a turkey with all the trimmings. Michael never knew. To him, his mother was invincible. His mother could do anything. And that's how it had to be. When he got to high school, the expenses multiplied. Books, clothes, bus fare, supplies. I was still working my double shifts, but now I also sold pies at the church bake sale on Sundays. My hands, look at my wrinkled, stained hands, with joints swollen from kneading dough at 4 in the morning. But it was all worth it when Michael got into Ohio State University, industrial engineering. I was bursting with pride. My son, the son of the widow Miller, the one who grew up without a father, was going to be an engineer. It was in his junior year that Brooke appeared. "Mom, I want you to meet someone special," he told me one Sunday after church. There she was, in her pastel pink dress, her perfect smile, her shiny black hair falling in waves over her shoulders. She looked like a porcelain doll. She hugged me with a warmth that completely disarmed me. "Oh, Mrs. Miller, Michael has told me so much about you. I admire you so much. Raising such a wonderful son all by yourself. You're my hero." How could I not fall into her trap? I, who had spent 20 years without a sincere hug that wasn't from my son, suddenly had this pretty young girl calling me a hero. The first few years were good, I won't lie. Brooke would come to the house, help me cook, tell me about her humble family from a small town in West Virginia. Her father was a coal miner, her mother a waitress. That's why I understand you so much, Mrs. Miller. You and I know what it's like to struggle. Lies. It was all lies, but I was so happy to see Michael in love that I didn't want to see the signs. They got married when Michael graduated. I paid for half the wedding with my retirement savings. "It's an investment in my son's happiness," I justified to myself. Brooke cried with emotion, or so I thought then. Now I know she was crying because she expected a more lavish wedding. The change was gradual, like poison administered in small doses. First came the subtle comments. "Oh, Helen, what a shame Michael didn't have a father figure. You can see it in his lack of ambition. If you had saved better, Michael could have gone to a private university. No offense, but your pies are very simple. I make them with more ingredients, more gourmet." Each comment was a small stab, but I endured them. For Michael. Always for Michael. When Aiden, my first grandson, was born, I thought things would get better. I rushed to the hospital with the blanket I had knitted for 9 months. Brooke looked at it and set it aside. Thanks. But we already have everything from Nordstrom. This, well, we can donate it. Nordstrom. While I was still buying my clothes at Goodwill to save for my son's future, she was shopping at Nordstrom with Michael's salary. Then came Chloe and Leo. With each grandchild, I drifted further away. Brooke had 1,000 excuses. The children needed a routine. I would spoil them. My house wasn't safe for children. My parenting ideas were old-fashioned. You just don't understand, Helen, she told me once. Kids today need early stimulation. English classes, swimming, robotics. Not just peanut butter and jelly sandwiches like Michael grew up on. Peanut butter and jelly sandwiches? My son grew up with love, with values, with the certainty that he was cherished. But Brooke had started her campaign to push me away. And Michael? Michael was too tired from working to notice. The hardest blow came 2 years ago. It was Chloe's 5th birthday. I had saved for 3 months to buy her the dollhouse she had seen at the mall. I arrived at their house with the wrapped gift and my best dress. The party was in the backyard. There was a bouncy castle, clowns, even a princess show. And I was not on the guest list. "Oh, Helen, what a shame," Brooke said at the door, not letting me in. "It's just a party for her friends from school and their parents. You understand, they're different people. We wouldn't want you to feel uncomfortable." Uncomfortable? The birthday girl's grandmother was going to make the different people uncomfortable? I saw Michael in the background, playing with the kids. He didn't look up. He knew I was there and did nothing. I left with my dollhouse and cried all the way home. That night, I donated it to the orphanage. At least there it would be appreciated. And now, after all this, after years of humiliation and contempt, Brooke wanted me to be her free babysitter, as if all the pain she caused could be erased with a snap of her fingers when she needed me. But what Brooke didn't know is that Mrs. Miller had learned a lot more than math and English in 35 years. I had learned child psychology, studied dysfunctional families, seen hundreds of cases of narcissistic mothers who use their children as weapons. And above all, I had learned to wait for the perfect moment to act. I looked at the clock, 3 in the morning. In 4 hours, Brooke would knock on my door with 3 children who barely knew me. 3 children who had been trained to see me as the poor grandmother, the boring grandmother, the grandmother who wasn't worth their time. I smiled in the darkness. If there was one thing I knew how to do after all these years, it was transform children. And these 3 were about to discover who their grandmother Helen really was. At 7 o'clock sharp in the morning, the doorbell rang. Not 7:05 or 7 to 10. Brooke was always punctual when it suited her. I opened the door, and there they were. 3 children with sour faces and suitcases bigger than them. I don't have time to chat. Brooke didn't even cross the threshold. Aiden is allergic to dust. Chloe won't eat anything with green vegetables. And Leo needs his iPad to fall asleep. Their medicines are in the blue suitcase. I'll be back in 2 weeks. And Michael? Isn't he coming to say goodbye to his children? Michael is working, as always. Someone has to support this family. She looked me up and down. Not all of us are lucky enough to retire with a government pension. My pension, $1,500 a month after 35 years of service. Brooke spent more than that on her nails and eyelash extensions. The children entered, dragging their feet. Aiden, 12 years old, with his phone glued to his face. Chloe, 10, with a permanent look of disgust. And Leo, 7, already looking for the television. "Be good for your grandmother," Brooke said without any conviction. Then she leaned in close to me and whispered, "And don't you dare fill their heads with ideas. Remember that I decide if they ever see you again." She left without saying goodbye to her children. Not a kiss, not a hug. Just the sound of her heels clicking away and the engine of her brand new SUV. I stood there with 3 children who looked at me as if I were the enemy. And then I remembered all the moments when Brooke had built this wall between us. Like that time 3 years ago when I wanted to give Michael $500 for a down payment on a used car. Brooke intercepted the money. "Oh, Helen, it's better if we use it for the kids' school tuition. Education comes first, don't you think? I never saw a receipt for that tuition." A month later, Brooke appeared with a Louis Vuitton handbag. "A friend gave it to me," she said when I asked. "A friend? Right. Or when my sister Linda died and left me $5,000 in her will. I told Michael excitedly, thinking I could finally fix the roof of my house that leaked every time it rained. Brooke found out. Helen, Michael and I are in a tough spot. The company I was working for went bankrupt, another one of her failed multi-level marketing ventures, and we urgently need that money. We'll pay you back with interest. Interest? It's been 2 years and I haven't seen a single dollar. My roof still leaks, and now I have to put out buckets every time it rains. But Brooke's trip to Cancun with her friends last year, that she could afford. Grandma, where's the Wi-Fi? Aiden jolted me out of my thoughts. I need the Wi-Fi now. The modem is broken, I lied. I had unplugged it on purpose. What? No way. Mom! Mom! He started screaming as if he were being tortured. Your mom is gone, Aiden. And screaming isn't going to bring the internet back. You're the worst grandmother in the world. That's why nobody likes you. There it was. Brooke's poison coming out of my grandson's mouth. It didn't hurt. I was prepared. I'm hungry, Chloe interrupted. But I'm not going to eat anything you cook. Mom says you're a terrible cook and that's why Dad is so skinny. And I want to watch YouTube, Leo added. At home, I watch YouTube all day. I looked at the three of them. Perfect products of neglect disguised as modern parenting. Children who knew no limits, who didn't understand respect, who had been programmed to despise me. But then I remembered the exact moment Brooke crossed the final line. It was last Christmas. I had prepared my specialty, a holiday turkey with stuffing that my mother taught me, green bean casserole and cranberry sauce. I had cooked for 2 days. I arrived at their house with the pans still warm. The kids ran to the kitchen, drawn by the smell. Don't touch that, Brooke yelled. We don't know under what conditions your grandmother prepared it. We'd better order pizza. Pizza? On Christmas Eve? I watched as she threw my food in the trash without even trying it. The children looked at me with pity, as if I were a beggar who had brought leftovers. Grandma's food is too greasy, Brooke explained to them. And her kitchen has cockroaches. A lie. My kitchen is cleaner than an operating room. But Michael was there, watching it all, and he only said, Brooke knows what's best for the kids. That night I decided that my son was lost. But my grandchildren might still have a chance. Grandma, do something. We're bored. Aiden threw a cushion on the floor. You know what? I told them calmly. Your mother asked me to take care of you, not to entertain you. There's food in the kitchen, water in the tap, and beds to sleep in. If you need anything else, you'll have to earn it. Earn it? Chloe looked offended. We're kids. We don't have to earn anything. In this house, everyone contributes. That's how I was raised. That's how I raised your father before your mother ruined him. And that's how these 2 weeks are going to work. I'm going to tell my mom you're mean, Leo threatened. Go ahead. And while you're at it, tell her I found her Facebook page very interesting. Especially the photos from Puerto Vallarta last month when she was supposedly at a training seminar. The children fell silent. They didn't understand what I was talking about, but they sensed that their grandmother was not the same person anymore. That first night was hell. Aiden kicked his bedroom door. Chloe cried for hours demanding her special food. Leo wet the bed on purpose. They wanted to break me, just like their mother had tried to break me for years. But that's when I made the discovery that would change everything. At 2 a.m, I heard sobs from Chloe's room. These weren't tantrums, they were real tears. I entered silently and found her hugging a crumpled photo. What do you have there, my girl? She startled and hid the photo under her pillow. Nothing. Go away. But I had seen enough. It was a picture of me with her when she was a baby. One of the few times I was allowed to hold her before Brooke began her campaign of alienation. Do you miss your mom? I asked, sitting on the edge of the bed. No, she answered quickly. Too quickly. Mom always leaves. She's used to it. I'm used to it. There it was. The first crack in the armor. Brooke hadn't just abandoned me. She had abandoned her own children, using money and gifts as a substitute for love. Chloe, how often does your mom go on trips? I don't know. Once a month, sometimes more. She always says it's for work, but nothing. I'm not supposed to talk about it. Mom says family problems stay in the family. Family problems stay in the family. The golden rule of abusers. Silence. I got up and walked to the door. Before leaving, I turned back. Chloe, would you like to learn how to make the pecan cookies you used to love when you were little? Her eyes lit up for a second before they dimmed again. Mom says your kitchen is dirty. Your mom says a lot of things. Why don't you find out for yourself tomorrow? I closed the door, leaving Chloe with her thoughts. The first seed had been planted. What I didn't know then was that Aiden's phone, the one he couldn't use without Wi-Fi, held messages that would reveal Brooke's darkest secret. Messages that would explain why she had really gone to Miami. And when I discovered them, I understood that I wasn't just saving my grandchildren. I was saving my entire family from a woman who was far more dangerous than I had ever imagined. The second day dawned differently. I already had my plan in motion. At 6 in the morning, before the children woke up, Carol arrived with a shoebox. "Here's everything you asked for," she whispered, handing me the package. 3 recorders, the size of a button, a camera that looks like a smoke detector, and this? She pulled out a manila envelope. "The credit reports you requested. Helen, your daughter-in-law has debts of $30,000, all in Michael's name." My heart sank. My poor son had no idea. "And your sister from Child Protective Services? She's coming tomorrow at 3, as a casual, routine visit." "But Helen, you need concrete evidence if you want to do something legal." Evidence. That was exactly what I was going to get. When the children woke up, breakfast was on the table. Pancakes shaped like animals, fruit cut into stars, chocolate milk, not the horrible food their mother had told them I made. Aiden was the first to come down, still in his wrinkled pajamas. He stopped short when he saw the table. "What's this?" "Breakfast. Eat before it gets cold." He sat down suspiciously, took a bite, and for the first time, I saw something resembling a smile, but he immediately composed himself. "It's okay. I've had better." Chloe and Leo came down, drawn by the smell. Leo launched himself directly at the pancakes. "They're delicious, Grandma." "Shut up, stupid." Chloe elbowed him. "We're not supposed to." She trailed off. "You're not supposed to what, Chloe?" "Nothing." After breakfast, I laid out my rules. If you want Wi-Fi, television, or any privileges, you have to earn them. Aiden, your job is to wash the dishes. Chloe, make the beds. Leo, pick up the toys. "That's child labor," Aiden shouted. "No, my boy. Child labor is what I see on your mother's phone." I took out my phone and showed a screenshot of Brooke's Facebook page. "Look, here's your mom in Miami, on the beach, with a man who is not your father." The 3 children gathered to see. In the photo, Brooke was in a bikini, hugging a man who was definitely not Michael. The hashtag read, #NewLife, #FinallyFree. "That's Uncle Dominic," Leo said innocently. "Mom's friend who sometimes comes over when Dad is at work?" Aiden quickly covered his mouth, but it was too late. The second piece of the puzzle had just fallen into place. "Uncle Dominic?" I asked casually. "How often does Uncle Dominic come over?" "We're not supposed to talk about that." Aiden looked at me in a panic. "Mom said if we told anyone about Uncle Dominic, Dad would get very sad and could die of sadness." My God. The level of manipulation was worse than I thought. "Kids, your dad isn't going to die of sadness. Adults don't work like that. But I need you to tell me the truth about everything. It's important." "Why?" Chloe crossed her arms. "Why do you want to know?" "Because I love you. And when you love someone, you protect them. And right now, you need protection." It was Leo who broke first. The youngest, the most innocent, the one who wasn't completely contaminated yet. "Grandma, why does Mom say you're mean if you make such yummy pancakes?" "I don't know, sweetheart. What else does your mom say about me?" "She says you're poor and embarrassing. That's why we can't visit you. She says your house smells bad and that you're a bitter old woman who ruined Dad's life." Every word was a stab, but I kept my composure. I discreetly installed the first recorder under the dining room table. "And what do you think?" "Your house smells like cinnamon and coffee," Chloe said in a low voice. "It smells like home." That afternoon, while the kids were doing their assigned chores protesting, but doing them, I checked Aiden's phone. I had forgotten that kids these days save everything to the cloud. With a little patience, I accessed his Google account. What I found chilled my blood. WhatsApp conversations between Brooke and this Dominic. They weren't just lovers. They were planning something much worse. "I have almost everything ready," Brooke wrote. Michael signed the papers without reading, as always. "The house is already in my name." "And the brats?" Dominic replied. "I'll leave them with the old woman as soon as he gives me the divorce. Besides, Michael works so much he barely sees them. He won't be able to ask for custody. But we need more money to move to Miami for good. The old woman has a house. It's worth at least $200,000. When she dies, Michael inherits, and as his wife, half is mine. Or was mine. We'll see how we can get all of it." I kept reading. Brooke had taken out 3 credit cards in Michael's name. She had sold the car that was in his name and told him it had been stolen. She had even tried to take out a loan using my house as collateral but needed my signature. That's why the monthly trips. They weren't for work. They were to meet Dominic in different cities. They had been to Cancun, Puerto Vallarta, Playa del Carmen, all paid for with the money Michael was killing himself to earn. I took pictures of everything, every message, every photo, every piece of evidence. My friend Carol was right. I needed to document everything. That night, during dinner, I decided to test the children. "What would you like to do tomorrow?" "Go home," Aiden answered automatically. "To which house? Your dad's house or Uncle Dominic's house?" Chloe's fork clattered onto her plate. I don't know what you're talking about." "Chloe, sweetheart, I know it's hard, but I need you to tell me the truth. Does Uncle Dominic live with you?" "No. Well, sometimes, when Dad travels for work, he stays to take care of us." "In the guest room?" Leo let out a nervous giggle. "No, Grandma. He sleeps in Mom and Dad's room, and he doesn't let us in. And they make weird noises." Aiden stood up from the table, furious. "Shut up, Leo! Mom said not to say anything. And what else did your mom tell you not to say?" It was then that Chloe broke. The tears started falling like a waterfall. "That Dad is boring. That Uncle Dominic is more fun. That soon we're going to have a new house with a pool. That we're not going to be poor like Dad anymore. That we're not going to end up like you, Grandma, living in an old, ugly house." I hugged her. For the first time in years, my granddaughter allowed me to hug her. And she cried. She cried like the 10-year-old girl she was, not like the little robot Brooke had tried to create. "Grandma," Aiden whispered, and for the first time there was no hostility in his voice. "Does Dad know?" "No, my love. Your dad doesn't know anything. Are you going to tell him?" "I'm going to do something better. I'm going to make sure you are all okay, that your dad is okay, and that your mom, well, that your mom gets exactly what she deserves." That night, after putting the children to bed and for the first time, none of them protested, I called Michael. "Hi, Mom. How are the kids? Brooke told me you offered to watch them." "Offered." The liar had twisted everything. "They're fine, son. Hey, could you come over tomorrow after work? There's something with the house I need to discuss with you." "Is it urgent?" Brooke asked me not to bother her on her work trip. "It's about a leak in the roof. It could affect the structure." It wasn't a total lie. There was a leak, but it wasn't in the roof. "Okay, Mom. I'll be there around 7. I hung up and looked at the calendar. 12 days until Brooke returned. 12 days to dismantle 10 years of lies, manipulation, and psychological abuse. But now I had something I didn't have before. 3 children who were starting to see the truth, and the truth, as they say, always comes out. Tomorrow the psychologist would come. Michael would see the proof. And the house of cards that Brooke had built would begin to crumble. The war was just beginning. But for the first time in years, I had all the weapons to win it. The 3rd day began with an explosion. Literally. Leo had found the fireworks I kept for the 4th of July and decided to light one inside the house. At 5 in the morning. "Grandma, the house is on fire!" Chloe screamed. I ran with the fire extinguisher that, thank God, I always keep in the kitchen. The firework had scorched the dining room curtain and filled the whole place with smoke. Leo was standing in the middle of the chaos, laughing. "It's fun. Like on YouTube." "Fun? You could have burned the house down, Leo." "So what? It's an ugly house anyway. Mom said that when you die, she's going to sell it and buy us a better one. There it was. The pure venom of Brooke coming from the mouth of my 7-year-old grandson. But this time, it didn't hurt me. It gave me fuel. You know what, Leo? You're right, it's an old house. Do you know why? Because in this house, I raised your father by myself after your grandfather died. In this house, I sewed school clothes until 3 in the morning to pay for his education. In this ugly kitchen, I prepared 1,000 lunches with love so your dad would never go to school on an empty stomach. The boy stopped laughing. And if your mother thinks she's going to get this house, she is very mistaken, because yesterday I changed my will. I'm leaving everything to a foundation for orphaned children. Children who would actually appreciate having a roof over their heads. You can't do that, shouted Aiden, who had run downstairs. That house is our inheritance. Inheritance? You who never visit me, who despise me, who treat me like a servant, want an inheritance? Mom says it's our right. I took out my phone and played the recording I had made the day before of their conversation at dinner. Their own voices filled the room. Dad is boring. Uncle Dominic is more fun. We're not going to be poor like Dad anymore. The 3 of them stood there, petrified. You recorded our conversation? Chloe was pale. I recorded everything, my girl. Every word, every confession. Because when your mother comes back and tries to turn everything against me, I'm going to have proof. It was then that Aiden exploded. And it wasn't pretty. You're a meddling old hag. That's why Dad never visits you. That's why Mom hates you. You're a bitter woman who can't stand to see anyone happy. He started throwing things. The vase my mother gave me. The picture frames on the shelf. My retirement diploma. All while screaming obscenities that no 12-year-old boy should know. I hate you. I hate you. I wish you were dead. Chloe joined the chaos. She went to the kitchen and started throwing plates on the floor. If you don't give us Wi-Fi right now, we're going to destroy your whole house. Leo, not wanting to be left out, grabbed my photo albums and started tearing the pages. Photos of my wedding, of Michael as a baby, of my parents who are no longer here, pieces of my history flying through the air like macabre confetti. I stood in the middle of the hurricane, calm, observing. The hidden camera that Carol had installed was recording everything. After 20 minutes of destruction, the 3 of them were exhausted, panting amidst the rubble of my living room. Are you finished? I asked calmly. They looked at each other, confused by my lack of reaction. Now you're going to clean everything up. Every broken piece, every destroyed photo. And while you do it, you're going to think about this. Your mother left you here because she doesn't love you. If she loved you, she wouldn't have gone to Miami with Uncle Dominic. If she loved you, she wouldn't use you as weapons against your father. If she loved you, she wouldn't teach you to hate the only person who truly cares about you. You don't care about us, Aiden shouted. Oh, no? Who do you think convinced your father not to sell the house when he lost his job 3 years ago? Who lent him money to pay your tuition when Brooke spent the money on her trips? Who has been saving money for your college education since you were born? I pulled out 3 savings passbooks from the drawer, 1 in each of their names. Aiden, $4,500. Chloe, $3,800. Leo, $2,500. Every month, from my $1,500 pension, I save $100 for each of you. Since I can't see you, at least I can secure your future. But you know what? Tomorrow I'm going to the bank to close these accounts. I'm going to give that money to children who actually value the efforts of others. Aiden grabbed his passbook with trembling hands. $4,500? For me? It was for you. Not anymore. It was Chloe who broke first. Grandma, we didn't know. You didn't know? Or you didn't want to know? It's easier to believe your mother's lies than to think for yourselves, isn't it? At that moment, the doorbell rang. It was Lauren, Carol's sister, from Child Protective Services. Good morning, Mrs. Miller. I'm here about a call we received regarding possible child neglect. The children turned white. Please, come in. As you can see, the children have just had an episode. Lauren observed the destruction, took out her camera, and started taking pictures. Did the children do this? Mom says it's their way of expressing themselves, Leo murmured. Your mother encourages them to destroy other people's property? Mom says Grandma is old and it doesn't matter what she thinks, Chloe replied. Lauren took notes. And where is your mother now? In Miami. On a work trip, Aiden said automatically. Work? I took out my phone and showed Brooke's Facebook page. A new photo. Her and Dominic toasting on a yacht. Lots of work, as you can see. Lauren reviewed the photos, the conversations I had printed, the bank statements with the debts. Her expression grew more and more serious. Children, I need to speak with each of you separately. While Lauren interviewed the children, I picked up the pieces of my broken photos. Each fragment was a memory, but they no longer hurt me, because now I understood that I wasn't losing the past. I was reclaiming the future. An hour later, Lauren came out of the room where she had been with Aiden. Mrs. Miller, these children are suffering from severe emotional neglect. The psychological manipulation is evident. The oldest is on the verge of depression. The girl has chronic anxiety, and the little one, well, the little one is acting out what he sees. What can I do? For now, document everything. When the father comes, I need to speak with him, and when the mother returns, well, I'm going to have to open a formal investigation. After Lauren left, I found the 3 children sitting on the stairs. They no longer looked like the little tyrants who had arrived. They looked like what they really were, scared and abandoned children. Are they going to take us away from our parents? Leo asked with a trembling voice. I sat with them on the stairs. No, my love. No one is going to separate you from your father, but things are going to change. It's going to hurt. Change always hurts. But sometimes it's necessary. Grandma, Aiden wouldn't look me in the eye. About Uncle Dominic. Dad is going to die of sadness if he finds out. No, my boy. Your father is stronger than you think. And he deserves to know the truth. We all deserve the truth. That afternoon, while they cleaned up the mess they had made, this time without protest, I heard Chloe whisper to Aiden, "What if Grandma is right? What if Mom really doesn't love us?" "Shut up," Aiden replied, but his voice no longer had conviction. Mom has to love us. She's our mom." But even he was doubting now. The armor of lies was beginning to crack. That night, after dinner in silence, Leo approached me with something in his hands. It was a torn photo that he had tried to tape back together. The photo of his father on his graduation day. "I'm sorry, Grandma. I tried to fix it." I hugged him. For the first time since he arrived, my youngest grandson hugged me back. "We can fix a lot of things, Leo, but first, we have to accept that they're broken." And in a few hours, when Michael arrived, the real reconstruction would begin. Stone by stone, truth by truth, until nothing was left of Brooke's castle of lies. Michael arrived at 7:15. He came straight from work, his engineer's uniform stained with grease and his eyes sunken with exhaustion. When I saw him at the door, for a moment I saw the 8-year-old boy who used to cry because the other kids made fun of his patched-up shoes. "Hi, Mom. Where are the kids?" "Doing homework in the dining room." "Michael, sit down. We need to talk." "Is it about the leak? Can I check it quickly?" "It's not the leak in the roof, son. It's the leak in your marriage." He froze. "What are you talking about?" I placed a folder on the table. Inside were the screenshots of Brooke's conversations with Dominic, the statements from the credit cards she had opened in his name, the Facebook photos of her work trip in Miami. Michael took the papers with trembling hands. With each page he turned, his face lost more color. This has to be a mistake. Brooke is at a sales conference. Michael, my love, Brooke is in Miami with her lover. The children know. They've known for months." "The children?" His voice broke. "The Uncle Dominic who comes to take care of them when you travel. The one who sleeps in your bed. The one your children have had to endure in silence because their mother threatened them that you would die of sadness if you found out." I saw the exact moment my son broke. He didn't cry. He didn't scream. He just sank into the chair as if someone had cut the strings holding him up. "I'm an idiot," he whispered. "A complete idiot. No, son. You're a man who trusted the wrong person. But now you have to be strong. For your children." "Dad?" Aiden was at the door. He had heard everything. Michael looked up. And for the first time in years, he really looked at his son, not at the spoiled child Brooke had created, but at the scared teenager who desperately needed his father. Aiden, son, we already knew, Dad. We've known for a long time. Chloe and Leo appeared behind their brother. The three of them stood at the door as if they were afraid to get closer. Come here. Michael opened his arms. And for the first time in I don't know how long, I saw my grandchildren run to hug their father. The four of them cried together while I made coffee. Sometimes, tears are the first step to healing. That night, after Michael took the children to bed early, I was left alone planning the next phase. Brooke had underestimated the retired teacher, but now the teacher was going to give her a lesson she would never forget. The following days were intense. Michael took a vacation, the first in 3 years, and practically moved into my house with the children. Together, we implemented what I called the Respect Project. First, schedules. Wake up at 7, breakfast at 8. Educational activities, lunch, free time earned with good behavior, dinner, and bed at 9. But at home, we go to sleep whenever we want, Chloe protested the first day. That's why you are the way you are, I replied. The brain needs routine to feel safe. Second, responsibilities. Each child had age-appropriate chores. Aiden helped with the garden, Chloe in the kitchen, Leo organized the games. This is exploitation, Aiden muttered as he trimmed the plants. No, this is family, Michael corrected him. In a family, everyone contributes. Third, real consequences. If they didn't comply, there was no Wi-Fi. If they shouted, time out. If they broke something, they fixed it or paid for it with their allowance. But most importantly, family sessions with the psychologist Carol had recommended. Dr. Wallace came to the house 3 times a week. These children have been used as pawns in a sick game, she told me after the 3rd session. The mother has conditioned them to reject any authority other than her own, but paradoxically, she herself is absent. It's a classic case of parental alienation combined with emotional neglect. Can it be reversed? With time, patience, and a lot of love. But yes, it can. And little by little, it started to work. On the 5th day, Chloe asked me to teach her how to make pecan cookies. As we kneaded the dough, she started talking. Grandma, why does Mom hate you so much? She doesn't hate me, my girl. She fears me. Fears you? Why? Because I represent everything she is not. I worked my whole life, built something with my hands, raised a son with values. She wants everything easy, fast, without effort. And when someone like me exists, it reminds her that she chose the wrong path. Is Mom a bad person? I considered my answer. Your mom is lost. She made wrong decisions, and now she's so deep in her lies that she doesn't know how to get out. But that doesn't justify the harm she has done to you. On the 7th day, Aiden approached me while I was sewing Leo's shirt. Grandma, can I ask you something? Of course, my boy. Why did you never defend yourself? All these years, when Mom spoke badly of you, why did you never say anything? Because I thought keeping the peace was more important than being right. It was a mistake. Sometimes, silence isn't peace. It's complicity with abuse. Do you regret it? I regret not acting sooner, but I don't regret acting now. On the 8th day, something extraordinary happened. Leo, my youngest grandson, the most damaged by the neglect, brought me a drawing. It was our family. Michael, the 3 children, and me in the center. Brooke was not in it. And your mom? I asked gently. Mom is on a trip, he replied. She's always on a trip. But you're always here. That night, Michael and I had a conversation we should have had years ago. Mom, I'm so sorry. I failed you as a son. No, Michael. I failed you as a mother. I should have taught you to recognize the signs. I should have protected you better. How did I not see what was happening? Because love blinds us, son. And because manipulators are experts at making us doubt our own perception. What am I going to do when she comes back? That's what we're preparing for. I have a plan. And I did have a plan. With Carol's help, I had contacted a lawyer specializing in divorces with parental alienation. With Lauren from Child Protective Services, we had a complete file. With Dr. Wallace, we had psychological evaluations of the children. On the 9th day, The children did something that left me speechless. They organized a dinner for their dad and me. They cooked with supervision, set the table, and even made a centerpiece with flowers from the garden. It's to say thank you, Aiden explained, with no trace of the hostility.